Okay, so here we are on the morning of our third day. I'm going to start off from our campsite on Joe Lake. Yesterday our day trip took us up through Teepee Lake, up the Little Lockstung River to Tom Thomson. We could have continued that as a loop through Little Doe, but we chose to just come back rather than do a portage. Today though we are going to do a couple portages. We're going to paddle up through Little Joe, and from Little Joe portage up to, I believe, Baby Joe here. And then from Baby Joe we're planning on going up into Burnt Island and doing some exploring. Got lots of time. And coming on back down back to our campsite at the end of the day. It's just after 10:30 on Thursday morning as we set out from our campsite. Right now we're heading east out of the end of Joe Lake here, and we're going to be heading into Little Joe in just a few minutes.
That might have been a good campsite because there's trees and we could put our car path.
Yeah, looks like it's pretty flat.
And there's a beach in the trail.
Yeah. Paddled across Little Joe Lake now, and we're just about to head out. Here's the view looking back towards the Arrowhawn Pines Lodge. While this particular lodge didn't exist back in the early 1900s when Tom Thomson was up in the park, there is a long history of resorts and wilderness resorts and lodges in the park, including the Mowat Lodge, which was on Canoe Lake at that time. So we finished our paddle across Little Joe Lake. We're trolling our Opalas, see if we can find some bass, but nothing yet this morning. It's just about 11 o'clock now, so less than half an hour from our campsite to get up to here, and we're just about to head up the creek and continue on our way. So we're up past the first low water portage after Little Joe Lake. There's a little bit of a beaver dam there right now, which you have to do drag the canoes over, but it's quite manageable and saves the effort of pulling everything out. We're actually just passing the end of the official portage on our right here at the moment. Here we are on Baby Joe Lake, having come across the 435 meter portage, which is fairly easy. It's steep at the start, but easy after that. We found out after we came up here that we can probably wade up the creek between Baby Joe here. So on our way back down this afternoon, we'll try doing that, see if we can wade down the creek rather than doing the portage, and then we can compare which worked best for us.
That would have been fun. Yeah. You're fine. Oh yeah. Thanks again. So let's see, I forgot the paddle.
Just about 1 o'clock now, and we've stopped here at this first island campsite on Burnt Island Lake, have a bit of lunch. It's looking back roughly towards the portage. Portage itself is a little more around the corner to the right. And then looking around this way, we'll be looking out onto the larger part of Island Lake.
I wonder if there's a canoe in.
Looks like it.
Maybe it wasn't a boat there. Just looked like there was a boat there. Hey, it's slowing behind us.
It's about 20 to 2 now. Finished our lunch. Head out onto Burnt Island Lake to explore a little more. Looking to the east here, we can see the first couple islands. Actually, sorry, the second and third islands going east to west. The first island is the one we stopped and had lunch on. I think what our plan is going to be for this afternoon is we're going to head down past these couple islands and come back along the north shore and start working our way back home or back to camp on Joe Lake. Just coming past that second island that was our target, and it looks like Madeline's finally caught a fish on one of the bottom bouncers here. So either that or she's dragging on the bottom, but I think this one's fighting. I'm going to grab the net and keep my fingers crossed, okay? Well, we blew into the island here while bringing in Madeline's fish and letting them go back to the colder water. It turned out to be a 17.5-inch lake trout, quite a nice size. It's about 20 to 4 now. We're back on Baby Joe Lake after doing that easy portage. We're going to, when we get down to the other end of Baby Joe here, which really is pretty short, we'll try wading down the creek and see if we can skip that 435 meter portage at the other end here. Well, we're down past the last portage of the day, which was really just a low water portage that we just lifted over a beaver dam instead. Coming from Baby Joe down to the creek here, then wading worked great. Waded right down to Lost Joe, short little paddle across there and a bit more wading from there down to where the creek broadens out. So now we're continuing on downstream and we'll be coming out to Lost Joe up ahead here once we get out of the creek, and pretty sure we're going to have a west wind to paddle into on the way home, but it's still pretty early, so it's only about 20 after 4. So it's been a nice day. And despite being overcast most of the day, knock on wood, it hasn't rained on us yet. As we paddle past these areas with the sunken tree stumps and deadheads sticking up out of the water, we're reminded of the history of Algonquin, in particular its role in the lumber industry, which continues today. Many, if not all, of the dams in the park were originally built in order to support the lumber industry and moving of logs downstream to the mills. Back in the early 1900s, lumbering was the key reason both for the park to exist and the main industry here. The community that grew up in the town of Mowat, or little village of Mowat around Mowat Lodge, in that same area, was based on the lumber industry of that day, and that would have been part of the world that Tom Thomson lived in Algonquin. It wasn't just pristine wilderness, it was an active lumber area at the time. Today, as canoeists and trippers, we still benefit from the extra water level given to us by the dams that were built for that lumber industry, making it a lot easier to get to many of the places in the park that otherwise would be a muddy slog through some swamp.